Listen to the brass bands do the second line. Pick a little guitar, spill a little wine. Hear the little babies whimper and cry. Make a little promise, learn how to die. Oh, a promise to be open, to feel the joy and pain. The only way to make a life is to fail.
Hey everybody, I'm Bob Bakert with Jazz Guitar Today, and I'm being joined by one of my all-time favorite guitar players, Jon Herington, and Madeleine Peyroux, who she is a jazz singer and a composer and an unbelievable performer. And I've just kind of gotten hip to you through Jon, to be honest with you. And I studied voice in college as a classical major. And so I'm only telling you that to let you know that I really appreciate what you do with your voice. It's pretty freaking incredible. And I can't find anything in your bio that talks about, your training or you grew up, obviously were born in Athens, Georgia, got that and, found your way to the streets of Paris. But, some people will say, well, I studied voice at the Academy of this or that, or I was in this, and I don't have any, but excuse my expression, but holy shit. and that's, pardon me, and that's just like one facet. And, I know that this record, which is coming out on the 28th, a couple of days from now, called Let's Walk, I think it's all original, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
100% original. And I read through the lyrics and I listened to the record, and I was going, God Almighty, that's a lot of talent wrapped up in one person. I go, holy crap! And I watched a bunch of your shows on YouTube. Jon, you can go away for a while.
That's okay. I'm happy to just sit.
I watched a bunch of your shows on YouTube, and you're a tremendous charismatic performer. So I'm calling no fair right now. Absolutely no fair. So you sing your ass off.
Oh,
you have your band
I feel
is
like you've got me confused with somebody.
Well, I don't.
I promise this is all a big mix-up.
No, I promise you. I promise
I'm actually very awkward on stage. I'm not a studied vocalist.
Well, you come across as. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm grateful that this record is what it is, and it's definitely a big collaboration with a lot of people. But I'm really, I feel like it's a work. It means something, or at least pieces of it certainly do. And we got a chance to work really hard on it.
I appreciate that, but I'm gonna still blow some smoke up your skirt here for a minute, because you deserve it. You're being very humble. I've watched the stages that you're playing on, the bands that you put together, and the way that you go about your business. And, authenticity is the word that comes to mind. You just come across as an authentic human being, and on stage and through your music. And to that, I congratulate you and just think it's really, really wonderful. So with that being said,
thank you for the honor of being here. I appreciate that.
You obviously we're honored, but you're welcome. And then we have got Jon. What about Jon?
Yeah.
Jon is my favorite guitar player to have on stage with Jon never plays a wrong note to service the song. Yeah. I've never heard you play a wrong note to service the song, ever. Oh, don't tell me you were frozen. Are you still there?
No, we're just here. Agreeing with you.
You guys are like,
yeah, just shock, shock and awe.
Well, Madeleine, I met Jon many, many years ago when he was touring around with an artist, and I sat in the front row and was just blown away, and just an unbelievable musician. So, for people that, I mean, I'm sure everybody knows that, you're probably best known for playing with Steely Dan. You've been satisfying the ears of one of the most critical voices, or critical ears, I guess, in Donald, and before that, Mock,
And Walter, yeah.
These people have ears, and you're there, and you've been there for 20 years, and that says an awful lot about you. So let's talk about the project. Let's Walk comes out on the 28th. From what okay. And so why don't you guys go ahead?
Day of the debates. We're competing with the
I brought up my heart attack, and you're bringing up the debates. I don't know who's worse.
I'm the worst. I'm the worst one.
Well, we're excited about it. It's, singles have been sort of trickling out. Madeleine has released several individual songs.
It's weird also because records don't come out physically anymore.
Now, the way they get released, it's all sort of arbitrary in a way. But the records will be available. There's vinyl. There's there's CDs. There's streaming, and I guess it should all hit every available place you can purchase music or listen to music at the same time. By June 28th, all the songs will be available to everybody anyway.
Yeah.
So that's
let's talk about the music a little bit. What was the concept? Is there an what?
Well, it wasn't gonna be a conceptual record. It was. There's one more person who's involved in really the making of the record. As you know, I co-wrote, Jon and I co-wrote all of the songs.
Right.
We also co-produced the record with a third person, Elliot Shiner, who did the, magical part of all of the recording and mixing.
Right.
If you don't know Elliot Shiner, his resume is a history of American popular music, and he's got, 8 Grammys on his walls. He did some of the mixing on the greatest Steely Dan records, worked with the Eagles. He recorded Van Morrison's Brown Eyed Girl. That's how early he was at it, So he's got an unbelievable resume, really, and he's still doing amazing work. I've known him for many, many years.
Well,
not worked enough with him, but he's fabulous. He also produced the first Bruce Hornsby record, which was such a huge hit.
Oh God, yeah.
That had the track "The Way It Is,"
Just the way it
is. So Elliot's been on the scene forever. We were unbelievably lucky to have him be so interested and really supportive and thrilled about being involved, and because he's got magic ears and a golden touch, particularly with drum sounds, and famous for that sort of thing. But so the three of us are all credited as producers, but each of us has our own had our own particular roles, and then of course they all bleed together when you're all working together like this. But one of the greatest things about Elliot was that after he heard a few of the demos that Maddie was considering for the record, he right away said, "Where'd you get this song?" And it was one that Madeleine and I had co-written, and he says, "You don't need any of those others. You and Jon need to write the whole record. No covers. It has to all be just the two of you." And he just sort of laid down the law, like when we're going, really? And it's, that means that we got a lot of work to do,
Yeah, I was on a totally different schedule until he said that. We had our first lunch with him, and he didn't say very much, but that made a big impact, comment.
And that's exactly like Elliot, because Elliot, he's a quiet guy, and he basically goes about his business and works his little magic, very quietly, until there's something that needs to be said, and then he speaks up. And so when he speaks up, you want to listen. You really do.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
pays. And that was the first time he spoke up in that way. And we listened to him, even though, it felt like
It was
a daunting
very
demand. Yeah, it was a daunting
challenging.
order.
But then, we made time for it. Luckily, we were still not on the road yet again.
Yeah.
This was sort of the end of lockdown, or at least
Yeah.
some part of lockdown, Yeah, still.
And then songs started coming to us, or at least I was hoping that they were. And then at one
To you,
point,
probably.
John called me. Well, you had Blues for Heaven, and one point John called me and just said, "Okay, Donald Fagen called me yesterday. We're going out next month." And I said, "What?"
Wow.
So we had a deadline.
I suddenly was like, "Okay, where are you? What's this?" And I got kicked into gear. I went out to meet him in Fire Island, and he said, "Okay, he sent his girlfriend home so I could be with him for like maybe 2 days."
Yeah, a couple days, yeah.
And we just
And we crammed and
did
wrote
a
the
great
rest
job.
of the record.
We finished writing whatever songs were kind of unfinished in
Yeah.
those couple of days.
Yeah, there were maybe 3 or 4 that we had this.
It was
Well,
just
work on.
finishing them.
You know what's interesting about the songs? I've got a bunch of notes here, and I don't ever go down the line or anything like that. But we're talking about the song. The songs are incredibly well crafted. It's when I'm listening to them, I'm going. And here's the thought that came to my mind. The thought that came to my mind is that they sound like records from the day that, like B-side records, if you will, from major composers. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, that's
like,
interesting.
I'm talking about like even Tim Panelli guys. I mean,
Oh, wow.
it's like the same guy that wrote "There Will Never Be Another You" wrote this tune too, but it never got cut. That
Right.
kind of thing. I mean,
I
they're all.
understand, yeah.
You follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely. No, I totally get it. And it's interesting because we don't think much consciously about style and era and all that. We basically just go about our writing business and we try to make something we like,
Yeah.
It's really quite intuitive, I think, that way. And yet, of course, with the variety of listening that we've each done over so many years, and
Right.
for me, the variety of different kinds of work that I've done and music that I've studied, I mean, in some ways, we probably are, we have a whole sort of warehouse of stored info musically that comes from a very long tradition now. So it's not surprising that I mean, I actually just discovered something, Maddie. One of the first tunes that we really literally collaborated on by sending recordings back and forth via email,
Yeah.
and one-upping each other, saying, "Well, I like that, but how about we do this instead?" And this would happen many times. And on this one, the first song we really did that on was a French one called "Et puis." It's on the record, and oh no, I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say?
We were talking about stylistic records, and first one you collaborated.
Oh yeah, I remembered this the other day. That like the first half of that bridge, it's not exactly the same, but the first half of our chorus on "Et puis," is eerily similar to part of the song from The Wizard of Oz that we were doing.
Right. From If I Only Had a Brain?
Yeah, from If I Only Had a Brain, which we had an occasion to play the other night, which is beautiful. And it's...
Is it?
Et puis, like, it's... how does If I Only Had a Brain go? Like,
Yeah, right. Oh,
it's the bridge. It's the bridge. No, but it's like...
Oh, I could tell you why the ocean's near the shore.
Right, actually, that's very like, et puis, comme ça,
sans penser à ce que je dis.
and then it changes.
It's like
but
the same
The first
thing.
4 bars is almost...
I mean, I'm sorry because I'm afraid what's going to happen if we start going down this road. I mean, I recently discovered that the beginning of Nothing Personal is Autumn Leaves.
No, it's not.
Well,
No,
that's what
it's-
Andy said it is.
No, but it's so much different from
Andy
it.
Ezra said.
Anyway, these little things are coincidences, and yet there's but because all that stuff is
He
in
said
there.
no, just don't. Just
No
don't
way.
forget.
No,
He
because
won't even
all this stuff is in
entertain
there.
it.
All that stuff's in there, and
It's in there,
And
that's
so
right. It's like a
sometimes
ragu sauce.
sometimes there are similar things that come out. So.
But
in
no,
there.
no, I'm hearing what you're saying. I mean, I only picked on There Will Be Another You because I couldn't think of anything better, faster. But they back in those days, the kind of composition for songs, songwriting, it wasn't like these cars are going to go with it wasn't not nothing against the Eagles, but the Eagles remind me, it's folk country music and G C D A minor, whatever. It's
Right.
all very diatonic, and it's very, you can feel that. The songs from the eras that you guys seem to draw from a lot seem to be I don't even have the right words for this. They're crafted in the emphasis in the crafting is in a different place.
Yeah, I would agree, and it's an older tradition that we're drawing on.
And they're so well done. I mean, you don't feel like you feel like these are songs that came from in other words, well, where did this one come from? Because how many of us know what Edith Piaf actually recorded other than, I mean. I watched a bunch of her music this morning to kind of, to get some study on this, and I thought, I didn't know she did that. I didn't know she did that. I didn't know she did that. Mm-hmm. And I'm used to hearing the thing that she's most famous for.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so these songs are well crafted. I mean, they're really, really well done. And then I read that lyrically, you're influenced by, things, social things of the day, if you will, in some of the tunes, which was fascinating. So talk about the lyrics, and how did you guys go about crafting the lyrics on that? Was that both of you working together? Or was that, how did you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we should just talk about Jon because.
Go ahead.
I mean, because
I love Jon.
You brought it up,
Yeah, no, go.
But I mean, and one of the things that you probably never got a chance to talk about is Jon is an incredible student of poetry. I don't know if you ever talked about this.
No.
When people ask you to talk about guitar, I doubt that anything to do with language of poetry or
words,
prose or words
Yeah.
comes into the conversation, which is so interesting. I mean, because in a way you always have to borrow from another art form to understand the art form that you in order to talk about or analyze.
I'm right with you. I hear you. No.
But Jon and I already kind of had bonded a little bit in our downtime over literature and over
and poetry and
the ideas of
and
like
just
Jon
great writing, great songwriting too.
I mean, there's several things I could say about it, but in my personal experience with Jon is like the first thing is just we can just enjoy this work for the sake of enjoying it. And I've never known anyone, and perhaps never had so great a teacher who is just purely in that process all the time. So, I mean, the story I like to tell, the funny story I like to tell is when Jon says, "Oh, Madeleine, you've got to check this song out. This is amazing." And I think it was A Case of You. And of course I'd heard it before, but he's like, "Come on, we're checking this out. We're reviewing this. We're studying on this. We're listening to this song over and over." We're on the bus, Jon is whatever. And there's various ways that we all enjoy checking out music together when we have that luxury of being able to do that on the bus.
Right.
But this particular time was funny to me because nobody that I've ever worked with as a musician has ever said, "Check out the lyrics." Nobody had ever said that to me before.
Really?
And Jon, yeah, I mean it. I mean, look, whatever. I was probably haven't been around that much.
No,
but Jon says to me, "Check this out," and then he proceeds to tell me the lyrics as the song is going. every time she starts to sing, he yells the lyric at me. And he talks through, by doing that, he basically
Talks the entire
says,
song.
check
yes.
it out,
Can't hear
listen.
it all.
He says, listen, a case of you. Oh, it's beautiful. Listen. I said, Jon, I can't listen if you keep talking. Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. But then he couldn't help himself. So he did that through the entire song. And to the point where I was like, well, now I really have to go back and listen to it again because I forgot what it.
Well, she knows I can get very passionate about the music I love.
It's a great example of who Jon really is. Sorry about that. I banged the mic. It's an example of who Jon really is in terms of, appreciating every aspect.
But I gotta say, I have to interrupt and say,
crazy thing that we call a song.
On this new record, I would have to say that the bulk of the lyrics were Maddie's work.
No,
I did
I don't know.
plenty of editing, and occasionally a song is more lyrically mine than hers.
I don't think you've said stuff like that
Yeah,
before,
but
and I don't think that we can really parse it.
Yeah, but I think we can.
There's a few things that I came to the table like, this is done. But when I did that, I brought you lyrics. There were a couple of songs. Let's Walk is one of them.
That's true.
Please Come On Inside is one of them. And there might be more, but I came to you with lyrics.
Right.
And nothing else.
Right.
And you came back with all the music.
Well, yeah. No,
so it was
I
like a
understand.
clear
No.
delineation.
Sometimes we had that distinctive sort of personal role in making the song. But almost all the time, and I would say this is why the record hangs together as a work for me, even though I don't think we had a concept going in. It hangs together because I don't very easily come up with lyrical ideas. I can come up with musical ideas much more easily.
Right.
So I basically early in our collaboration, I decided that it was wiser to wait for Maddie's first dealing of the lyric. I'll let her come up with the idea. When she sends me it, then I can get involved. I can and to varying degrees. But because I think I was waiting for her lead that way, I think it has an extremely personal sort of feel to it, which is really her. And, because she was. That's the generative power of the lyrics were really her. These were ideas that were like rolling around her brain more than mine, And I took them and ran with them in some cases, but it did become a collaborative effort on a lot of the tunes lyrically. But I like that I was patient and actually I wasn't bombarding you with lyrical ideas because I don't work that way. I can't just turn on the faucet and have it pour out. I could do that with music, but I can't do that with lyrics. So I think that's part of the reason that it's kind of a lucky accident in a way, just of our natures. And the record came out reflecting a personal point of view of Madeleine's, which is I think it helps hold the whole thing together.
Well, I have no idea who did what or what did who other than what you just told me. But I will say this. I'm looking at the lyric and I listen to the tune, Please Come On Inside.
Right.
As an example. And if that doesn't remind you of something that's out of a 40s movie or a 50s movie, I mean, you can, I don't know. And it's so efficient in its language to get its emotion across. It's incredibly well crafted. Now, who did that? You guys sort it all out.
That's all Maddie's lyrics. The lyrics are all Maddie's. And she's got it's kind of a folktale based song, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's an
the
interesting
idea
origin.
for that lyric is inspired by what do you call that? Yeah, like a parable type of story.
Yeah, but the whole tune, I mean, lyric, melody, feel, the whole tune comes together in a beautiful way. I mean, it just
It's
you're really
funny. We were worried about that one, to tell you the truth, because harmonically it's so sort of unsophisticated.
It's unsophisticated. There's no question about it.
And
that's what I wasn't worried about.
I was worried about that.
Well, it depends on who you talk to at what time, because there was a period of time when I was like, you were like, oh, I have no idea what's happening on that song. And I was like, yeah, I think it's going to be okay. And then we looked at it together and you were like, oh, this is going to be great. It's going to be great. And I was like, now I'm not so sure anymore. I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, we did switch positions on that. I remember that. And I was, well, my concern was not about the lyric at all, but just about, and not about the melody, because I thought that was pretty good. The form, and like, how are we going to give shape to this, to something that has so little harmonic sort of,
well, what
stuff,
makes it work? There's a lot of things that make it work, and I'm not trying to be the end all be all, but if you look at the whole body of work of the recording, Let's Walk, it is a beautiful piece in that recording. It has a juxtaposition to some of the other things going on that allow us to, well, we've seen this part of your soul, we've seen this part of your soul, we've seen this in your, it allows you to walk into that part of your being, if you will.
Oh, good. That's great.
That's kind of what
I mean, you know what's so funny is that when we were making this record, I remember several times looking at you and at Elliot Shiner going, what the hell are we thinking? All these songs are so different from each other.
I love it.
Like, what is this record going to be? And I seem to recall you looking at me going, it's great, or something. Or Elliot was always happy. He was, no matter what we did.
He loved it all the time.
And he just laughing. He loved the Mosquito song. Every time we did, and we were kind of discovering, I felt like I was discovering the record as we recorded it, but which, to a certain extent, is my favorite way of recording.
That's kind of a lucky thing, yeah. I mean,
it's because we got everybody in a room. We were just talking to somebody else who said that a lot of pandemic records, because this was all written during that time.
Right, sure.
But there was a lot of this stuff where you would send a piece of music and somebody would add to it and back and forth, and that's not at all what.
No, we actually got everybody into a good studio and all together in 3 days, marathon
and we
days.
We spent the night in the
we all stayed there for 3 days, and that's how we recorded. No hot water.
It got real funky in a good, in a good way.
And Elliot really thinks that that's a big part of why the record sounds like it does.
The record.
He's an old school guy that way, and he likes that. I mean, I think there have been plenty of great records done in that piecemeal way that people sometimes do it now. But I do think you don't get the interaction between players and that kind of X factor of the the vibe in the room. You don't get that when you're doing those.
Well, the record, I just say it, the record's a masterpiece. It's a beautiful piece of work. She's screening her nose like, I don't want to hear that.
I'm grateful.
It's a masterpiece.
I'm too close to have any idea how to evaluate it anymore,
it's a great piece of work. And lately, I've been fortunate. I've heard a few great pieces of work, and it's a great piece of work. I mean, Jon, your acoustic work on this thing is getting an acoustic guitar when you're recording it to be dynamically consistent and tonally consistent is hard to do.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's really hard for me to do. I don't play acoustic guitar much anymore. I've had arm problems and hand problems, so I kind of avoid it as a rule. But I needed to play it on this one, and I wanted to play it on this, and I think Elliot is also, he's
Elliot can record it, but he
knows how to record it, Well, that's true.
Yeah, but you had to play it, you had to play it, and it's you're playing on this record. I mean, the one thing that's interesting about it is that every instrument that I listen to, there's nowhere to hide, if you will. No one's hiding behind somebody else or somebody else's mix or somebody else's thing.
It's so nice to hear you say that, really.
Every one of the instruments.
That's a comment that I really appreciate.
Yeah, there's no one's hiding behind anything. Every performance that I heard, and maybe Elliot's the guy in this, was like everybody's like playing, I don't know, just beautifully, masterfully. I mean, there's no. And it's not
I think it really came out well.
It's not careful either. I mean, it's not. You're not playing.
That's good.
You're not. It doesn't, like sometimes when people are trying to not fuck up, You know, they play so carefully that there's no life.
No, I understand. That's true.
Yeah, and it's not like it's not tedious, it's not careful, it's just it's difficult to play like that and play like that consistently. And you know, honestly, Madeleine, the same thing is true of your vocals are the same way. You're a tremendous talent. I mean, your singing is. I mean, I was listening, and you're doing it live. I'm sorry, I'm kind of going back around on, you know, that kind of stuff. But, you know, the
Well,
way
we
you.
did. I sang these. I think these were comped together.
Well,
And I did a bunch of vocals.
we spent some, you
Yeah.
know, more time with lead vocals after
Yeah.
the live
So we
recordings.
didn't
Although
get
she
them
was
in
singing
the-
while we were
in the
playing.
room.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you
we all
got
worked
scratch
together.
that. Yeah.
We did replace, you know, like
Well, I just,
many, if not all, the vocals on
It-
I
the
think
just-
we did them all. Yeah.
it's beautifully done. It's beautifully done. It's a great record. So I was going to ask you a couple of questions about. You're going to be playing live. Your tour is set up for going to Europe, and then you're going to do some dates here in the U.S. Is that what's happening later on in the year?
Yes. And the timing has gotten a little wonky because we scheduled a tour for around a record release in March,
Right.
and then the record release was pushed to next week,
Right.
June. And so we were on tour, and Jon was there for some of it, from mid-March through the end of May around the United States, playing the whole record almost.
Wow.
And getting to just hear audience and audiences were willing to, like, oh, we've never heard any of this material before, but they wanted it. They liked the new
Right.
material. So, you know, that was the endorsement that I feel I got. Now, as far as the live shows for the rest of 2024, I might have to send you an email or something, because some of that stuff is not completely full. The calendar is not as full as I would have preferred. But we have some tours in Europe in July.
Yeah.
And we have some East Coast dates in the fall. And I think there might be my dream would be to do something kind of weird and not really financially viable, which is to go a little bit and spend a little time in the South in smaller venues, visiting
Right.
some of these towns. That's why I think it would be fun if I could do it. Jon doesn't know about this, but I would like Jon and I to do duos together. But that's not the same thing as what, I don't know if I'm answering any of your question at all.
No, it doesn't matter. We're this. You know,
It's
I'm
kind
not.
of a loose answer.
I'm not
because
Edward
we're a
R.
little
Murrow here. You know.
It doesn't matter, right? Yeah.
Well, we do have some touring coming up.
of course,
The next
yeah.
trip is in July, and it's an
July,
11-day trip.
yeah.
Unfortunately, we only have like 4 gigs booked, but we'll be in Greece. They've
Yeah,
started in
they're
Greece.
big gigs. I mean,
Yeah, they're nice-
It's like a
nice-
big
nice
festival
venues.
in Thessaloniki,
And then
Madrid,
a couple gigs in Spain, and then
Getxo,
we
and London Jazz Festival at the
we finish at the
Barbican.
Barbican,
Wow.
which is great in London.
Yeah.
But I saw that one of your dates is up in City Winery up in Boston,
Yeah. Later in the fall, I think.
because there's a City Winery in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And
We've
there's
played
one-
there once.
There's one in Nashville as well.
Right.
Right. And
You know-
we just did. There's actually more than you realize. It's kind of starting to pop up.
Chicago
Talking about
has
clubs
one.
or City
Chicago City Wineries. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New York has one. Chicago has one. Atlanta has one. Nashville has one.
Chicago has one.
There's
St.
Boston-
Louis.
Boston
we just
has
did
one,
2
yeah,
nights
right.
at the
Said
City Winery in St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Napa. I think there might even be like some more in the Midwest coming up. Like,
Yeah, they keep
you know,
expanding, which
yeah.
is great.
New Orleans, no. Memphis, no.
Let's talk about
Nashville,
that.
yeah.
Let's talk about that for just a minute. So, you're listed as a jazz singer. How does that feel to you when people say that? I mean, is that something you go, yeah, that's what I am, or I mean, how do you?
Yeah.
How would you describe your music?
I, to people that don't really, I mean, yeah, on the surface, I would say, I try to say I play jazz and blues music, or
Uh-huh.
I'm influenced by jazz and blues. And if we could spend a whole lot of time on it, I feel like the conversation needs to be more about what has become like this 21st century understanding, because jazz was a throwaway word in the beginning. It
Right.
encompasses a huge amount
Tell me about it. I got a
of,
magazine called Jazz Guitar Today.
oh, right.
Yeah.
So you know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, I know
And at
exactly what
least
you're talking
yours
about.
is narrowed down to the guitar. So you can get a little bit more specific. Well, imagine, like, what we're talking about is like there's a different, like, era every 10 years.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
It's too big. It's too big a concept in
And,
Right.
yeah, and every instrument that has its era as well. And
Yeah.
you know,
And when it comes to being a jazz singer, people often, I think of that as what I would call more like a torch song singer,
right,
which is particularly like ballads from the 40s.
right,
Or they think of it as being, well, at least that's one version of a
Yeah,
jazz
but
Right.
singer.
there's so
But
many
then there's
versions. That's the point.
also
Yeah,
like
right.
like some kind of like a student from Berkeley who is or somebody who's in this kind of postmodern. It's not really about presenting a song and playing the head and singing the melody, but it's
right.
about this sort of experimentalist thing. Like, what is is Bobby McFerrin a jazz singer? I don't. I think he's way more than
Yeah,
that. What that
the term becomes
term
not so useful,
encompasses,
right? Yeah, it's not so useful all the time.
That's
Right.
not it's not useful at all. That's why I'm trying
Right.
to
Yeah. So I think it's an interesting problem that goes beyond any one artist. It has to do with the
well,
fact
the
that we're
reason
not really able to
let-
talk about
yeah.
American art with any proficiency. But
Well, let me give you, let me kind of, let me put a little meat on that bones of that question a little bit, because it's very, very, very broad, as you're walking.
I'm not
Um,
complaining, though.
no, I
Just
understand.
yeah.
I've never heard anybody like you. I don't have a reference for anybody that is played and sings like you do, and also has a 5 or 6 piece band with them of really, really high quality musicians that are playing your music the way that I've never heard anybody like you. And and I've listened to a fair amount of music. And are you how, does that come up at all? I mean, I love what you do. Let me make sure you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm
it could be one of those
yeah, no,
backhanded
I'm
compliments that
totally
John
I'm
has a list of.
I think
I've
I
never
try.
quite heard that instrument played that way before.
Yeah, he's a sweet. But what somebody once
You'll
said,
have to let me know when you're
yeah,
playing again.
John Schofield once said about they were talking about this guy. Oh, that guy. Well, how do you feel about this player? Oh man, he's killer, man. He's killing. How do you feel about that guy? Oh man, he's killing it. Wow, what a play. Oh, how do you feel about that guy? He's a sweet guy. You know? So I understand. No, I think I tried to express to you how I felt about what you were doing at the outset. I hold your vocal talent in high regard. Obviously, your lyrics, your songwriting, everything. You've got a partnership with one of my all-time favorite guitar players. I mean, so I know there's no level here. The bar is pretty damn high. Okay. And but it's like you're creating a new audience for a new music. I mean, it's like there's I could be completely full of shit here and totally wrong and not know what the hell I'm talking about, which is, that's very plausible. Um, but it's like you're creating, I mean, like I can see, you know, 19-year-old girls going to Berkeley saying, I want to sound like her. I want to do that. And and I just think it's a new thing. I just wondered if are you Are you conscious of any of that? John, are you conscious of any of that? I mean, how do you?
I've been fighting the urge to jump in because I really do think that, of course, Madeleine can tell you, the details of her listening history, the stuff that she's was naturally drawn to as a kid and still loves, and stuff that she's been drawn to since then, ways she's learned the music and learned how to play the guitar, learned how to write these tunes, to think about music in a certain way. She can tell you all that, and it's all in the world, and it's all absorbed in the particular way that any individual absorbs that stuff when they want to do something like this,
Right.
So there are definitely reasons she sounds like she does, with one exception. This is a unique person here. Nobody has this particular makeup, this combination of the sound of the way she speaks, the voice she was given, the life she led, the genes she inherited. All that is totally unique and wouldn't be with anybody. And the poor student who wants to sound like Madeleine is shit out of luck, because she's going to sound like her before she's going to sound like Madeleine. But if she takes Madeleine as one person who she can learn and love and emulate in some other way, as well as other people that strike her that way, then she will build a totally unique personal thing too. And whether the world will respond to that uniqueness the way they've responded to Madeleine, or the people that Madeleine has loved before that, is anybody's guess. That's a roll of the dice. But that doesn't matter so much. What matters to people who are doing this is that they're doing this.
Right. You're doing a hell of a lot better job explaining what I wanted to say than I did. No, I mean, I guess
that's how I feel about John all the time. All the time.
So I guess the point is that you're definitely going to be like, it's young saxophone players. They're going to listen to this guy, that guy, and the other guy, and they're going to put that together. But to be in that small group of people that are influential for people that want to aspire or are aspiring to that level, you are in that mix. You're going to be in that mix if you're not already.
I think she is already, and you may be late to the party.
I'm sure I am.
But because
I think a lot of people.
Well, you had
I've spent a lot of my life being sort of more derivative, or being sort of cast as more of a derivative, like back in the 90s.
I get that. Yeah,
when
I know what
there
you
was
mean.
a whole movement in the 1990s where there was sort of like an industry-driven movement of, we're getting a resurgence of jazz. Oh, we're going to sell records.
That's true.
So let's remake the shit that's sold records in the late 50s and early 60s.
That's true. Yeah.
And the 50s and 60s was like a resurgence of the artists that had been great in the 30s, because there was that big band movement that sold a lot of records. So the funny thing to me is trying to make sure that I'm integral, that I'm true to myself, but not be derivative, but also not be too focused on whether or not I'm being derivative, because some of that stuff is a facade that came from an industry.
Right.
Whereas the actual artwork itself came from a real person, and you're drawn to that, to emulate that person, and you're drawn to build upon the work that they did. So they created a technical, vocabulary, let's say, like Billie Holiday worked out how a yelp exists for a vocalist anytime you want it. Like, it's not the kind of thing that really was in popular song until Billie Holiday put it in every song. You don't hear yelping.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
So that's an example of the kind of thing that I think it's like a vocabulary that's been building.
Well, I mean, obviously you've had a great career. In 2004, I believe it is, you sold 500,000 records.
That was my second record, yeah.
So it's not like, I mean, that 500,000 records is a lot of freaking records. that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Well, to Madeleine's point, though, I think it's true that I mean, as you develop as an artist, and as you get a chance and an opportunity like Madeleine's had to work year after year, do many records, you certainly hope, and I think most of this you try to sort of have happen intuitively, but you want to grow as an artist so that it sounds more and more like you and no one else as you get older and as you do this more. And there's no question in my mind that she's been able to do that. And I think this record in particular, because it doesn't have standard material that anybody has recorded before. Yeah. It's all brand new. That, I think, just sort of ups the ante for that very thing, and in a beautiful way. And so I don't think she sounds as much as like people would. You don't hear people saying as much like as they used to, like comparing her to Billie Holiday and like or there were some others that they.
I listened to the record, and I spent.
It just doesn't sound like. It sounds like Madeleine to me.
It sounds like you. I guess that's my point. I listened to the record. I listened to the YouTubes. I've spent a little time with you, Madeleine. You don't know it. We're dating.
Thanks.
Spent a little time, getting hip to what you're doing. And that was kind of my point. Is you're a new to me. Maybe I'm late to the party, but this record is a new thing. It's a great thing. It's an unbelievable thing. I mean, it's recorded incredibly well. It's played beautifully. It's sung beautifully. The songs are incredible. The vocal performance is tremendous. The production, the engineering. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a great piece of work. It's a masterpiece. It truly is a masterpiece. And congratulations on that. I hope you sell 80 gajillion copies of it. I really do. And I can say, hey, we had this conversation back when. You guys have got your guitars in the studio.
We do.
Were you going to play something?
We could, if you want.
Do you want?
Do we want? Let's do something.
Of course.
Sure. Yeah.
What the hell? You're musicians, not talkers, and it'd be cool to.
Supposedly.
Surprising how much we like to talk, though. Isn't it?
I love it. I love it. But John, you did throw something at me that you're, that you love poetry, and
I'm a hack, really. I mean, I'm trying to get better at reading it, and I discovered Helen Vendler recently. I recommend her. Find her books. I just read a book called Last Books.
A friend of mine has a poet's retreat that she runs 24. I mean, it's all year round in outside of Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a published poet. I'm trying to figure what her it's Sandy Coomer is her name, but there's a middle name there too. There's in fact, I'll tell you. But she runs this is where poets come from all over the world. Just to be creative.
No, I'm not a poet, but I'm trying to become a deeper appreciator of poetry.
Check her out. Her name is Sandy Spencer
necessary.
Coomer. Sandy Spencer Coomer is her name, and she's got this place, and they do all kinds of things. And if you ever get over to Nashville, you might want to check her out. But
I will, yeah.
But anyway, I mean, if you're as I don't even have the right words here because you got to remember I'm taking drugs and stuff or the other situation we talked about. But
yes.
But anyway,
you sound a lot more together than I do.
You seem very clear to us.
I haven't had enough drugs myself.
So what guitar have you got there, Madeleine? What do you?
This is John's guitar. My guitar that I have been playing is also my road guitar. I mean, I tend to play a small body Martin, like a zero single knot or double knot Martin. But I'm having trouble keeping it like both intonated and playable at the same time.
Yeah.
So and John knows how to do stuff. And we're at his place. So this is his guitar. It's way better and easier to play.
This is an Eastman guitar.
Yeah, I was an executive with that company.
It's very nice. I I really like their instruments.
I think
Yeah.
it's time to switch.
Yeah, maybe.
But I think part of my problem is my pickup system, because when you love these small body guitars like I do, and you want a sound hole pickup, there's it's a little bit different.
There's some limited options, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah,
And
everybody's-
it's a little
Gets tricky.
awkward to get 'em in
Everybody
the
has gone
hole.
so into it's got to be in the
Yeah.
the contact transducer, if you will, rather than a magnetic center hole pickup. And
Yeah.
the reality is those center hole magnetic pickups sound pretty damn good.
They do.
Although
Yeah.
I prefer a mic, they do sound better than those, the rubber bandy kind of sound you get out of the stuff
Rubber
along the-
Bandy.
It sounds like rubber
That's
bands,
good.
like I don't know why they became the standard.
Why would you want to hear the sound of a
Yes.
rubber band?
It's kind of weird.
I don't know. I don't.
I mean, I like those rubber bridge guitars; those are cool. But that doesn't sound like rubber bands. You know what I mean? There's a
Yeah.
a very
You're talking
synthetic
about the,
sound for the
metal bar under
saddle under
yeah.
the saddle pickup.
Well, Tony Rice, who is one of the greatest of all time acoustic
Yeah.
players. I mean, he never had a pickup in any of his instruments. It was always in front of the microphone.
Yeah, well, that works until your band is too loud, and then
Yeah.
it's just picking up everything on stage, and it's really
Yeah,
rough.
you
So,
can't do that. Yeah, right. Especially if you're anywhere near a drummer, It's
Yeah, and that's the
symbol.
problem. So, I mean, we're pretty quiet. We're pretty radically quiet as a band on stage, but I still think, and then you're moving around. I guess you could have a clip-on mic or something, but I think
Yeah, no,
still would be picking up too much stage sound.
Well, there's
Acoustic
the vocal and the moving. Yeah.
acoustic
Yeah.
guitar reproduction at stage level is just one of those. It's one of those really never-ending problems, and everybody's tried to.
But you're right. That would be the only good way to do it. Like when João Gilberto would go play and sing at the same time, it would be two microphones
Yeah.
on a huge stage, and that's it. And
Yeah, well, what
and
you
he
can do-
still wouldn't be happy half the
No,
time.
Maybe not, but still, I mean, like that's still the best way to do it. I mean, but you just can't do it when you have a band that's
You
too
can't
loud on
get
stage.
the
It
can't
just
get the
doesn't-
levels up.
It just
can't.
doesn't work. It's a mess.
Yeah, no, I'm totally agree. I was actually, I'll probably edit this part of it out. I actually worked for Eastman for 2 years, and that's how you and I, John, where we actually talked, because we built that guitar for you while I was
Right.
there.
Oh wow!
But yeah, it's one of the many.
Not this one.
No,
No, not
it's-
that one. No, that's a stock instrument. There's
Yeah,
some custom ones that they made for me.
It was like his 339.
Okay.
But I'll tell you one thing I do like about your Martin. It's an old Martin that you have. It's got a cool vibe.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
you
well,
had
that one
there
I
was an old
can't
brown
play it
Martin.
anymore.
Yeah,
that was
one.
an all mahogany
That was a mahogany one, right.
017 that I had. It was from 1943. It had no truss rod because in
Yeah.
1943 they were rationing metal for the war.
I have a
And
friend.
so
Sorry.
but I can't play it anymore because it can't. It's the road thing. Like it's one thing to have a guitar in a studio and take care of it.
I have a friend who used to be one of the big head honchos who knows acoustic guitars better than anybody else in the whole wide world. And I mean that sincerely. His name is Dick Boak. And Dick was with Martin Guitar for like ever. And he's retired from them now and knows more about acoustic instruments and all that than literally than anybody. I'll reach out to him and tell him what your issue is and see if he's got any suggestions or what he
How to amplify a small body guitar?
well, how to amplify
mean-
what guitar you might want to,
guitar
just
to play. Yeah.
yeah, just
I picked up this 0018 from Martin. I picked it up at a store. It sounded
Yeah.
amazing, and it was a V neck, the
Right,
vintage
yeah.
neck, which I find really comfortable.
oh good.
And so I loved it. And then I called up Martin. I was like, send me one. Give me an artist deal, please. It's a
Yeah.
$3,000 guitar, something like that, maybe 30.
Right.
And they didn't give me that much of a deal. And then they sent me a guitar, and I was like, well, this one's not as good as the one that was in the store.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And now I'm thinking, was it, I mean, I thought it was just me, but now I'm thinking, no, it probably wasn't as good. You know?
You
Like,
can't
You
buy
know-
a model name of a guitar. You have to buy a specific guitar. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no question. I mean, when I bought this one originally, this is a 336, and I played a first one and said, "Oh, that's pretty nice." And I went back 2 weeks later with somebody had bought it. They had another one in its place. I played it. It was horrible. I was like, well, I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I don't want this kind of guitar. And then about 2 weeks later, I went back again. They had a third one, and that was this one. It sounded better than the first two. And I remembered, and I could tell. The individual guitar. There's just too many variables going into making these things to know what they're going to turn out like until they're done.
That's
They're
amazing.
wood.
And yeah, they're wood, and so
They're
you
wood.
don't know till it's done. And then
every
even
piece of-
then, it gets better over time. This
Yeah.
one just sounds better all the time. It's just.
So are you
now
still
an old guitar.
hunting around trying to figure out the joint?
Well, the situation I have right now is, so I've been touring with this one 0018V. I use the LR bag sound hole pickup, and in order to fix the battery or to straighten the neck, you got to take everything out, and it takes a half an hour.
You got to take the strings off. You got to pull the thing out of the sounder because you can't get.
You can't even
access
get
to
it out. You know. So anyway, so I'm using that, and I'm using the LR bag stage box DI.
Right.
And you know, and the only problem I have is that the acoustic guitar itself is just not, you know, willing to the neck. I don't know. I've actually had a few people work on it, and it doesn't respond well enough. Maybe it needs some kind of radical, and at that point, I would rather just get another guitar.
Yeah, you just got to do some shopping. Get in
I
shopping mode.
I could live with something like this. This is exactly about the same size as the one that mine is. It looks more to me like a Gibson
It's a little
style
more like a
body,
Gibson
isn't
style,
it?
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah.
Well, see,
Which
I know,
love, you know, it's
I know the
fine.
guys out there as well. Still,
I'm looking for that kind of guitar that lives in that mid-range sound of a smaller body guitar.
not too much bottom and clarity all through the range.
Yeah, it's mostly the mid-range chords that I need to be able to, you know, switch from these kinds of voicings down here.
Yeah, you don't want
and then occasionally,
boomy bottom. You know.
yeah.
You know, reach up high for a few finger picking style things. But those are the two main jobs that I have, and I want to be able to go up the neck a little bit. So this is good, like a 12 fret guitar like this is good, or whatever you call this.
That meets at the 15th fret.
Okay,
but
fine. I don't need.
well, some of them are
don't
like
count
some
very
of them
well.
are at the 12th fret. That feels a little.
Yeah,
different to me.
I
don't
think
like that as
mine-
much. Yours is like this, I think.
Okay, I think it is. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be the same. It doesn't look the same.
What's that? The 12 fret versus 14?
Yeah, 50, yeah.
I don't think yours joins at the 12th.
Well, maybe
Which,
it just.
Do you remember the
it just,
Martin
It's just
model?
this bell shape maybe makes it harder to reach higher because
Yeah.
I can't reach.
Do you play up there? I mean, do you go up to the 14th fret?
No, but
Not
I
much.
will occasionally have some stuff around the 12th fret, so it's nice to be able
Yeah,
to.
be able to comfortably go up there. Well,
But anyway,
I'll
yeah,
ask my-
I'm just. It's more of like the dilemma of being on the road and having an acoustic guitar that can be amplified, that can stay playable without having to like pull it apart and be a real genius at
Yeah,
being
the small size and the sound hole she's using means you can't adjust the neck without taking the strings off, pulling the thing out.
Yeah, trust
it's,
me.
it's a
Doing
big
it.
operation just to make a twist on the neck, you know. So the necks
Plus,
over time
Martin-
start getting like unplayable.
The Martin thing is ridiculous too. At least my guitar, it's
to
the,
tighten
well,
the neck, you mean?
Well, yeah, you have to have this one tool, which of course I have, but you know, but it's like also very fiddly because
Yeah.
it's so deep that you're not really sure
If you got it.
I
yeah.
guess it's what it's like to be a guy, right? You're like, is it in there? Is it in yet? So that's what it feels like to me. I spent like a whole day going, I can't tell if it's working.
No,
Is it working?
I have a lot of guitars I try to adjust like that. It's
I got a lot of
definitely
lines. I'm not going to use them.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
that's funny as hell. That is,
Time for some music.
play some music for
Want
us.
to play Find True Love?
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
Is that what we should do?
I think that'd be good. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do that. I like.
Do you happen to have your thing on what do they call it? Full range, you know, where it'll come.
Oh, the
sound,
the
let's see,
YouTube for
yeah.
musicians.
Yes,
Yeah, you have it on that?
original sound for musicians is on.
Yeah, it
absolutely.
says that. Yeah.
Great.
So you should
Well,
hear it. It should sound pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder if
for
I've
all
got to
my
do that too. I don't
mistakes.
think I do. I think we're good. So what are you going to play?
This is the opening track on the record, Find True Love, right?
Okay. Oh, let's go down to the bayou to find true love. Listen to the blues, the gospel of Jesus. Feel the summer sunshine in the southern breezes. Hear the little babies whimper and cry. Make a little promise, learn how to die. Oh, let's go on to the levee, find true love. Listen to the brass bands do the second line. Pick a little guitar, spill a little wine. Hear the little babies whimper and cry. Make a little promise, learn how to die. Oh, a promise to be open, to feel the joy and pain. The only way to make a life is to fail and try again. So let's go up to the hilltop, find true love. Listen to the seasons from above the tree line. Pick a little fresh corn, spill a little moonshine. Hear the little babies whimper and cry. Make a little promise, learn how to die. Let's go on to the shoreline, find true love. Listen to the ocean, the thunder in the sky. Feel a little empty, run a little dry. Hear the little babies whimper and cry. Make a little promise and learn how to die. Oh, I promise to be open, to feel the joy and pain. The only way to make a life is to fail and try again. So let's go down to the bayou, find true love. Listen to the blues, the gospel of Jesus. Feel the summer sunshine in the southern breezes. Hear the little babies whimper and cry. Make a little promise, make a little promise, make a little promise and learn how to die.
Wow. Wow, that was incredible.
Yay.
That was great.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thanks.
That was really, 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 really nice.
Ah.
Oh, that mellowed me out. I got nothing. I'm done. Wow. That's tremendous. And you know, you didn't even warm up your voice or anything. You just 1, 2, 3 and sang and
No,
you know,
we did a whole other show.
We did a little singing earlier this
afternoon.
afternoon.
Oh, okay.
I'm not
well.
gonna lie to you now.
Oh, please do.
If you need mystery,
tell
you
me I'm
better
the
turn off the cameras.
Tell me
Shit.
I'm the only one.
Turn off the lights. What did she said? Who's that? Turn off. Lil Green.
That sounds
In
great.
the dark, in the dark. Remember?
Yeah, it sounds great. Well, I'll let you guys run. I can't thank you enough for doing this.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you, Bob.
You
It's
were
great
so
to.
very kind and way over the top a little bit, but also really just wonderful.
Yeah, it's great to
I
see you.
really
and-
appreciate you, and I'm
You know,
great,
it's shit
I'm
that most
sorry if
people.
you weren't.
Oh, I'm good. It's shit that most people just won't say. You know, I don't know if I would have been as effusive, you know, like 30 years ago when it wasn't cool, but I don't care anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you there. You learn something by
I'm just going to
aging.
tell you
It's
what I
good.
feel and what I think, and I think that people need to be recognized and appreciated, you know, when they really are bringing something to the table. And I think obviously you guys both are. And is this a tremendous record? It's a tremendous record, and I'm not
Thank
just
you.
saying that. Um,
I'm
I
so
wish you
grateful I
about.
got to meet you.
Oh, it's nice to meet you. Hopefully, we'll see you, you know, when you're out on tour, and maybe you'll get down this way or something.
Yeah,
Like
Where
City
are you?
Winery,
You're at
Atlanta, right?
Nashville?
I'm
or
in
not?
Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
Atlanta, yeah.
I'm in Atlanta. I've been here for a long, long time. Well, John,
Thanks
thank
so
you.
much, Bob. Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
good luck with your your healing and the health issues. I wish you all the best with that.
Well,
man. It can't
I
be
saw
easy.
the doctor a couple days ago, and he said that I'm doing great. He said
Good.
everything's good. I'm in rehab therapy. I don't have any damage.
That's good.
Bob Bakert for jazz guitar today with Jon Herington and Madeleine Peyroux, and the new record is called Let's Walk. It'll be out on the 28th of June. It's a masterpiece. Go buy it. Go listen to it. Tell all your friends. And oh, by the way, not too shameless of a plug, because I'm just telling you, you know, please like, share, follow, you know, tell your friends to subscribe to the magazine and all that kind of stuff, because it does help. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. See you. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Bye, Bob.
Bye.
Bye-bye.